Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome and thank you so much for joining me tonight on the late one in review, where we look at some of the top news and we just have a conversation. The last show of the season as we enter into 2022, and we are not going to have any cancelled Christmas around here. We're just going to go straight at it and just have some discussion and have some fun. Good evening, David. How are you, sir?
Evening. Happy holidays, happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, season's greetings, Yuletide greetings, Feliz
I
Navidad.
I guess Christmas is not cancelled for you then, yeah?
Not at all. Christmas
Yeah.
can never be cancelled. It's a time for enjoyment. It's a time for family. It's a time for reflection. And so no, it can't be cancelled. Not in my books.
I'm still trying to work out what is it when there's discussion about Christmas being cancelled. I can't seem to fathom to understand what that is. Can you break it down from your?
I think what people are trying to say, because we live in a black and white world where people have to take polarized opposites. You can't ever have a shade of grey. I think what they're trying to say is there's an amendment. There's a change to the way that we celebrate Christmas. Cancelled is too far to the extreme for my liking. We're amending the way that we go about the traditional way of celebrating Christmas, where we'd be sharing time with multiple friends, multiple family members, and not forgetting about those people who are lonely at Christmas as well, because you want to make sure that they have a time where they're able to be embraced by others too. So. And that's why I say it's not cancelled. There's a slight change to the way we go about things. We have to be more mindful of the way that we carry out our seasons and family. But at the same time, the spirit of Christmas will always reign true, and no matter what time we live in. Christmas wasn't cancelled during any of the world wars that existed previously. It was amended. The way that people went about their lives was changed. Quite obviously, Christmas is never going to be cancelled. We need to have a season's greetings. We need to make sure that people put on the Christmas jumpers and enjoy themselves as much as they can with those closest around them.
Yeah. Well, good evening to those who are on Instagram and those on Facebook, YouTube, and also hi, Michelle Clark. How are you doing? Send you the link if you want to join in and have some discussion as well. We wait for if Reverend Graham will come on as well, and a couple other persons. But in the meantime, David, when we started this all, in review and talking a lot about the pandemic, we were in 2020, weren't we? And every night was about this. And you said to me, let's do a year in review. And I said, David, the year in review is going to be COVID.
There's a lot that has happened outside of COVID in the years, in the 18 months or 2 years nearly now that we started this, and so yes, COVID has been something that hasn't gone away, and in all likelihood is not going to go away anytime soon. But the year in review is more than that. We've had some other breaking news stories that have taken place. We've had a big news story that occurred in the United States with the unfortunate death by the kneeling on the neck, unfortunately, of a brother in the street. So there's lots more that have occurred, and there's good times, there's bad times, and COVID has lurked in the background as well. I remember when that news story actually broke those months back. And you broke it, and I thought that I've not heard about this story, and then we obviously saw that it was something very real occurring. So there's more to it. I think there's been more downs than COVID, to be quite honest with you. And then there's also been some up times as well.
But let's just shut down the Omicron bit. From your perspective, because normally when you come on, you always give us an update. What would you say is the update regarding Omicron? Because there's getting lots of mixed messages now. I just read something that Professor Whitty was called to be a socialist, something locking down the country. People are listening to him more than the Prime Minister, and a particular MP was sort of chastised for that. And the question now is like the Prime Minister is saying something different about people going out, and Professor Whitty is saying sort of careful when they are saying things in South Africa is not as bad. Professor Whitty come back and say, well, let's put this into perspective, and it's going back and forth, David. And people are somewhat a bit, it's like the politicians are against the politicians, the scientists are against the scientists as well. And Omicron is there, which some are deemed as a mild sort of flu to a certain extent with the symptoms, but the transmission is quicker. Is that a fair assessment?
I think the fair assessment is that what Professor Whitty is trying to say is that we have to be cautious.
Yes.
There is still a degree of unknown here with the way that the virus impacts people, and we won't know the extent of which. And this is from scientists until sort of the latter part of this year. And I know you're going to say, well, we're in the mid-month. What are you talking about here, David? I'm talking about between Christmas and New Year, we'll be able to get a bit more of data to drive how we feel this is going to really impact us going forward. And quite obviously, with time, we learn more. When we first started these conversations back in February of last year, there was a lot of unknown to us at that period of time. And then we learned more, and we went through several peaks and several troughs. So I think what he's saying is a degree of caution. I don't think he's counteracting what the government's saying. I don't think he's counteracting other scientists. I think he's just saying, look, we have to be cautious about the way that we maneuver ourselves in this particular period, because whilst we understand that this particular variant is able to impact people at a quicker rate, the extent of that we were not completely certain of, and that's just because of the time lag that occurs between infection, persons becoming people going into hospitals, and then people unfortunately passing away with the condition itself. So that's all he's trying to say. I don't think there's anything more that we should read into it. He's a scientist with caution, and the cautionary tale is that obviously at the start of this pandemic, the first start of this pandemic, there was manoeuvring by scientists and politicians not wholly in agreement in the way that they should manage things, and then there was an outcry thereafter as to the way that people were given information, and that people were unnecessarily died through. And I'm not saying that they did unnecessarily die, but that was one of the points that the government should have acted in a particular manner in order to reduce the number of deaths. So you can see here that in terms of the government, in terms of scientists, obviously they want to be cautionary in regards to the way they go about things, and rather not particularly concerned about the pointing of fingers thereafter, but actually try to save lives. And I think that's the key to all of this. Your question was also directed at what's new, what's fresh, what's happened with this particular new strain. Well, as I said, the transmissibility is a lot quicker than that of previous incarnations of the virus. What we're doing now is obviously the booster program is available, and obviously people can now over the age of 18 can get the booster in the UK. If they so choose, and obviously it's being encouraged that people do take up the vaccination of a booster. The other thing to say is that treatments now are being utilised. There's a trial that's currently being undertaken with treatments in the community. So once you test positive, people have been invited to take treatments to the effect of the virus on the immune system. And therefore the effect in regards to how that would transpire in the disease itself. So I think that's again a positive step in the right direction. I'm not going to say that the medicine is the game changer, but I've said to you on many occasions, Silborn, that we can't just focus on one or two elements in terms of managing the condition. What we've focused on in the past few months entirely is the vaccine, and that's a good program. But also we need to think about when people do get sick, how we stave off that sickness. And antivirals have been a tried and tested method to try and help with people reduce the effect of the disease on them. So I think that's a real good positive going forward in terms of how we treat patients with COVID-19.
Well, one of the things which was very interesting, a lot of shifting which has taken place is the bit with the red states, I call it red states, the red list. And I think the red list is now gone to a certain extent. Nigeria came on it recently, and a lot of people were really burnt by that because of the £2,285. And I was thinking to myself when they said, "No, you can leave." What am to those money which people have spent? And David, when I was thinking about even these quarantine zone, these hotels, I mean, I'm sure you can get hotels better costs, even like Premier Inn. It's not 2,285 a Premier Inn. You can get better deals than that. I'm sure they could have done it better at the same time.
I think it comes down to an art of negotiation, doesn't it? And
Mm.
what takes the appetite of the government in regards to how you go about things. I'm sure we're not the only nation in the world that has issues pertaining to, where you are kept or where you are quarantined.
Yes.
I know for a fact that the hotels in this country, for example, are akin to, for quarantine, are akin to those in New Zealand. So it's not a UK specific problem. I
Mm.
just think it's more how we go about monitoring people if they're in the quarantine facility, and how that is all ruled. Really, I think what people who are in quarantine facilities upon entering the country have to be able to have access to is ability for going out, having fresh air, having the
Yes.
ability to be in isolation. I guess if that's what your idea is, to try
Yeah.
and protect others, but also be free to do some of the things that they would normally do. I get it that they can't go down the road and go to the local Tesco's, but at the same
Mm.
time, I think the art of being in your room for a prolonged period of time is never going to be great for your mental health, and it's not going to be great for your health either.
Yes.
So I think that's the key for me. Being able to go about and do things. If you're able to go to the local gym within the hotel, or if you're able
Mm.
to go in an outdoor space, but at least feel that you're able to do some of the things you normally do. I know it's only for a 10-day period, but that's still a long period of time in people's lives.
Yes.
And the other thing is, obviously, if there are better ways of figuring out how infectious somebody is. So if you could have tests that would really pin down the infection. I know that day one is a difficult thing, and you're kept in quarantine for that period of time because the
Mm.
infection could rear its ugly head for that period of time. But if there was a better testing technique, and quite obviously people could be tested on day one and given a better assurance that there's not a particular issue, if that makes sense.
Yes. Yes. I mean, it's very interesting days, and I don't know about you, but I sort of pulled back from a staff party, and I don't think it's going to take place actually. And when you look at it, a lot of companies are just really upset in a sense because of people are looking forward to this opportunity this Christmas in order to have parties or to get together with friends and families. No, I shouldn't say families, but friends, colleagues, and now that is completely being pushed aside. And when I think about it, you just have to realize that we've got to really take care of ourselves. And maybe it's a time for us to spend time with our families and just really chill. Because I was saying to myself, what makes a Christmas? Is it a party? Everybody say, is it a party?
Well, that's why I said it's a different way of going about
Yeah.
your sort of um, your time with family, and
Yes.
it's not a cancellation; it's just an adjustment for me. How
Yes.
you go about meeting and greeting people is just different, and that's all it is.
Yeah.
And
Mm,
the time to celebrate and time to party. Whilst life isn't promised
yeah.
to everybody, tomorrow is not promised to everybody. There
So
will be
there's
plenty of
parties.
time for most
So,
people to, to,
yeah.
to party and to celebrate, and it will happen. It's
Okay.
just a degree of timing.
Yeah. Let me just say hi to Michelle. Michelle, how are you doing?
Hi, David. How you
Hi,
doing?
how you doing? Good to see
Yes.
you.
Seen you
Well,
for a
we, well, we don't have any echo sounds and everything. It's all bulletproof, bulletproof zone, you
while.
know.
Okay, good.
You know, Michelle, I was talking earlier about canceling of Christmas when they're always saying about canceling of Christmas. What's your Christmas like? Is it a party for you to make your Christmas? Is it making
Uh,
you bake some other cakes though?
uh,
You know.
I have grown kids, so I don't even put up a tree anymore. I,
Uh-huh.
I I don't decorate anymore. I don't put up a tree anymore. So what I do, I'll go to my daughter's house,
Mm,
and my grandkids are there. So there's where we'll usually have a Christmas or what have you. But it's not fussy anymore like it used to be when the kids was home, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, but I know Florida state is opened, and there are big discussions now about Ron DeSantis to run in 2024, and people are saying between him and Trump. But Florida, what do you call it called from Florida? Floridians or Floridians?
Floridians,
What do you call it?
Floridonians.
Floridians, no,
Floridians.
not my
Floridians.
bad.
Yeah,
No, Floridians. Yes.
Okay,
yeah.
thought so. Yeah,
Yeah, they're saying while they would like Ron DeSantis to be, what is it? Please keep him. Let's keep him close to us for the foreseeable future. Not take him into run for the presidency. Um, but if it wasn't for Ron DeSantis, but your children, are your children the type like saying they have to go out, have to have parties or so?
Well, my son is not living in Florida anymore. He's in the
Mm,
Bronx. He
yes.
decided to
Oh,
go,
that's slowed down, isn't it?
and that's shut down. My daughter's still here. We love DeSantis.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
Um, and we're originally from New Jersey, so we're used to like snow falling and it's cold and all that kind of stuff. So, we've been here for a while now. And I enjoy our Christmas that we have here now. Yeah.
so tell me quickly, before we move off of, 'cause one of the things we had said with David long time is that most of our shows were all talking about COVID, and we found a way to get away from COVID because there are so many other things happening in the world. Because we can talk about Arise, Sir Lewis Hamilton, and all those sort of things. But Omicron and in the Florida state, and always talk about looking from Florida outside to other states.
Mhm.
How is what's the perception of Omicron there now as weeks are going by? Is our figures going up or so?
No, we don't hear any figures going up over here at all. There's no figures going up. I don't know what the outside news is putting out there because they always do try to like put it like it's so bad, but when you get out there, we don't see it. We just still move around. We it's we just still move around.
Mm,
I have
mm,
visitors that came here and they're like, so where's your mask? No mask? No, no.
mm,
We don't wear the mask if you don't want to. My daughter wear hers. She'll wear hers in the supermarket or so, but I don't wear mine. I don't wear a mask,
mm.
and I'm just fine.
Okay.
Um,
Mhm.
yeah.
David, what's your there's a point which people always talk about is that and the beautiful song that Lou Rawls sang, that you've got one life to live, so live it in peace, live it in truth, live it in love, and just live. Because at the end of the day, when the roll is called up yonder, you'll be there or you'll not be there. You know what I mean? There's a time, and I was thinking the other day, and I was listening to it, and I just put a post up. Is that the politicians against the politicians, the left against the right, the vax against the vaccinated, and it's like people. And I was watching a post today. People are being pitted against each other. You know, it's and all that is happening now is that there's a fear factor where even those who are the so-called vax and those who are the unvax or whatever, they're actually having fear, pushing fear, spurting fear against each other. What's that effective middle ground? What would you say, David? You're the perfect person to say that. What would you say is effective middle ground in dealing
I
with
said
this?
to you right at the top of this program,
Yes.
we are in a period, and you just articulated there, where it's black versus white. There's no middle ground. There's no grey area anymore.
Mm,
You have to pick one side or the other. And I said to you also that you just got to be sensible. Just be
yes.
sensible. That's all you have to be. I mean, just
Yes.
Mhm.
use some common sense with the way that you go about things. If a government is telling you to do something, then they're telling you to do it for a reason that they want you to. Okay, and they're trying, in a sense, in my humble opinion here, to have an affordment of protection across.
Yes.
Now I'm talking about the UK specifically here.
Yes.
So if the rule is that you have to wear a mask, then wear a mask. Now, for that period of time that you're wearing a mask within the government, within the facilities that you'll be going in and around, it's a short period of your life. When you're in your home, you do what you want to do. That's your choice. Okay. If you think about the time that you spend outside of your four walls,
Yes.
you spend a lot of time in your four walls. That's why you decorate your house. That's why you have pretty pictures. That's why you have a big screen TV. That's why you have a kitchen. All those things that you would like to populate your house with.
Yes.
Okay. If you don't have a big screen TV, it's not a problem. But the point I'm trying to make is you decorate your house, right? So they're asking you to do this, and it's for a period of time. I don't think it's going to be for the rest of our lives that we're going to have to live in this particular existence. So being sensible, I think, in this particular respect is doing what's asked of you and going back and doing whatever you need to do at home. Now, the sensible act also, you said, how do you stay within this particular area, is ignoring the pull or drive or desire to be pulled from one side or to the other.
Yes.
Responding to that is the problem and the issue that we have. Whenever we decide to pull to the side of the anti-vax or pull to the side of pro-vaccine, it causes angst, it causes discord, it causes problems, it causes issues, and it's just like any other particular type of ism, in my respect, and I just, in my opinion. So I just think that by pulling yourself so far to the left or to the right, or so far to the anti-vax versus the pro-vaccine,
Yes.
so far to the anti-mask to the pro-mask, you're evading the actual issue, which is why are you being pulled to one side or the other in that extreme. Now, don't get me wrong, there are people who are affected, and I think we've talked about this before, people who have been told that they must do something and it could affect their livelihood. I get that, I completely do, because that's affecting your life. It's affecting the way that you go about your general pursuit in life. It affects your business. Business has obviously been affected as well in today's day and age. I'm not saying to get annoyed or frustrated or angry about those particular things, but what I am saying is, when we get drawn so far to the left or far to the right, it blurs your perspective on things, and then you can't have a conversation. So I think acting sensibly, knowing that things are happening for a short period of time, and that we will get out of this, and you can still maneuver yourself purposefully in the Christmas period, but just in a different way.
Yeah. Before I move on to something about the recent vote in the House of Commons, Michelle, you might not know about that, but we'll sort of give you a background. James Luke Samuel says, I wear mask in my house. James, I'd like for you to give me the rationale. Is it that your house of different persons or different, and somebody, Sheila?
Listen, if James wants to wear a mask in his house, it's his house.
I just want
he must know, right, why he's wearing it in his house. He must know why.
I know you're trying to understand. If he wants to do that, that's his business, right?
Yes.
And that's the thing. I don't want people to feel that they can't do whatever it is they want to do within their own personal space, right?
No,
I thought he was joking. He's joking.
Okay, right. But do you know what is interesting is if you will see people wearing a mask in a car.
Yes, you're right.
By themselves.
Yes, you're right.
So if people want to do that and they feel safe by doing that, I have no problem with that. You could look at it and say, why are you doing that, etc., etc. But why? If they want to do that, then fine. And in the same way, if somebody doesn't want to wear a mask within their own house, or if they don't want to wear that mask in the street, that's fine. And if they've got a reason for not wearing a mask, also in a setting where you were supposed to wear a mask, then again, if you've got a medical reason for that, then that's your prerogative.
I
can't stress anymore that we. That is.
I just feel like it's stifling me when I have it on.
Right. That's because we're not born to wear masks, right? We're not born to have physical restrictions over our face. That's just a matter of our human setup. We weren't born with a mask. You didn't come out of the womb with a mask on. That makes sense. But the point I'm trying to make is, for the brief period of time where you're in a setting which is asking you to wear a mask, you go in the supermarket. We don't generally spend an hour in the supermarket. You may well. And if you do, then what I would say is spend half an hour, go back out, go do something else, go back in half an hour next day or something. But the point I'm trying to make is, if it's being asked that you have to, then you have a choice. Your choice is either entering that establishment or not entering that establishment.
Exactly.
Right? That's your choice. We have that. Nobody's forcing you to go there. And I am sure that you'll be able to find an establishment that you can utilize, okay, for want of a better word, to allow you to get what it is that you want to get.
Well, I like wearing the mask at times, but I won't be wearing the mask in the pub. But like when I go to the supermarket, and I never forget this particular supermarket I went to, and I saw the guy at the self-service section was coughing, and I So, well, there's coughing, but could be a normal flu, you know what I'm saying? But hey, in the climate that we're in, so I just make sure my mask was intact. So rightly as you say, I just keep my mask in my pocket, you know what I mean, in my house, you know. Good night, everyone. That is Dean Marie says, and
Well, you see,
And sorry, I'll just ask one more
yeah.
thing before Michelle comes in. Sorry, but were they wearing a mask at the time they were coughing?
No, David.
Okay, but how much happier would you be if they were wearing a mask and they were coughing?
I'll be much happier. I feel better.
Right,
well, we used to
right,
cough
exactly.
before.
I know, but Michelle is
We used to
this.
cough before. We used to sneeze before. We used to do all these things. So why is it so strange now?
Michelle, because the dynamics have changed now, isn't it? Wouldn't you say, Michelle?
They have.
I, I I think I told the story. I was in the doctor's office
Yes.
and wait outside waiting, and the girls behind the desk, they were there, and a guy, a guy was coming in to check in, and he was coughing. He had a mask on, but he was coughing. But I could tell that the cough that he was having, it was probably like something in his throat,
Tickle, like a tickle.
that he just wanted to cough. And the girl behind the desk, she got all frantic, and she was like, "Oh my God, who's that coughing?" I had to intervene. I had to ask her, is it illegal for people to cough? Didn't we used to cough before all of this craziness? Didn't we used to sneeze? So calm down. I mean, come
Yes.
on. I just think it's ridiculous. Now you have people suppressing their cough now if they want to cough. You're suppressing it, you in public. I
I,
think
I
that's ridiculous.
I had a show once. I told David about it. It was in the initial days, and man, I wanted to cough so bad that I wanted to cough so bad that this is what happened. This is what happened.
Took himself out. I remember I was talking and talking and talking, thinking, where has he gone? Where has someone gone?
I am not going to let
Realize
that happen
once he
to
came
me, that I want to cough and you're going to have me suppressing my cough just because you guys are thinking crazy now.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that.
but Michelle,
I've been
I will ask the
coughing.
question.
We've been
When this
coughing
first
all our life. Huh?
when this first started, we're not a little bit anxious about being seen coughing in public. I know what you're saying now, but I'm saying when all this first started, do you not have any kind of reservation of coughing? Nothing at all.
Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
Okay. I would say that's probably
We
not given
always
for.
cough. We always sneeze. So I just don't, I just,
Yeah,
I'm
I
not going to
agree with
suppress
you.
my
I
cough
think
for anybody.
I
I'm
think what
going
I
to
would say
cough if I
is
got
that
to cough, and that's it.
I think most people would
Yeah.
probably be in the camp where you are, where we were a little bit more reserved, thinking, "Oh gosh, if I cough in public, it's a problem." And I
Yeah,
agree
you
with you.
do
That's
see
what
that. Well,
But
I'm not
that's
going
the
to
thing.
do
I
it.
think the majority. No, I agree. I think
Yeah.
it's interesting.
Well, anyway, there's a recent vote in the House of Commons, Michelle, and the vote was making uh, mandatory for people to use. No, David, maybe you can help me, but I think it was mandatory for people in the health profession to take vaccine, isn't it?
That was a while ago. If you're talking about the most recent
No,
one, you're
this was,
talking
this was, I'm
about
talking a couple of days ago. Is that correct?
the one you're talking about is a change to policies in regards to having a COVID passport.
Yes.
Because what you're talking about there in terms of healthcare professionals, that was months ago in terms of
No, I'm talking the one.
healthcare assistants.
I'm talking one yesterday.
Yeah. So basically, this is a policy that means that in particular social arenas, so for example, in the United States, I never get this. You're going to have to explain it to me. Why you call football when actually football is actually our
It's
football,
soccer.
you know?
Right.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
right.
football. Your American football should be called American football, but that's another discussion. But in terms of American football, if you went to an American football stadium and that had more than, I think it's 40,000, but I could be wrong, but it's a certain number on the capacity of the stadium, you have to have a COVID pass, which would show your status in regards to your vaccine status, or at least testing negative for coronavirus. So so I'm not saying that you have that in the United States. I'm trying to give you an example.
No, I understand.
That's what's happened. Yeah. So that's what's happened in the UK. So for big arenas, for seated and then unseated, there's different classification in terms of the size of the facility.
Yes.
There's an hour requirement for us to have a COVID. It's called a COVID passport. And so that's just a pass that you would have on your mobile phone, and you would show that before you enter a facility. So that has just passed.
We have it here too, California, New York City. Right now in, you know, when the ball drops on New Year's, you know, it's always like a big crowd. Now you can't get into that, not unless you have that passport.
Right. Okay. But that's not in Florida, we hear. Is that right?
No.
Okay.
No, we don't have anything like that in Florida.
And is that something that is probably going to be more universal, do you think? Is that something that Joe Biden is trying to push?
Well, you'll find it more not in the Republican states.
Okay.
States that's not Republican, yes, because New York City now, you can't even, in the city of New York, you can't even get in restaurants without that passport.
Okay.
New York City isn't like it used to be anymore. That, you know, you could, it's people, they're barely visiting New York City right now because it's not that freedom anymore, you know, where you could just go. Now all restaurants in the city, you have to have that passport. Most restaurants, you have to have that passport to get in, to sit down and dine. The movie theaters, you have to have that passport in New York.
Similar here.
City, in the city.
Yeah.
To get California is the same thing. California is really.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's interesting though, but I was thinking the other day, and this is just like a casual thought now, is that we're at a point now where persons must be, as you say, David, accommodating of each other. Persons must, just like the little joke that we ran when what's his name, James, said he was wearing the mask, and I questioned, and David just came in and said, what if you want to wear the mask in his house? What if you want to wear the mask in his bathroom? Nothing is wrong with that, you know. That's how people live.
What if you want to take the shower in his mask?
Yeah. That's the life, you know. But what I'm coming up to now is that there was an MP who voted against the recent mandatory stuff in Parliament, and he's a part of Boris Johnson party, and he said these words, that I will always remain the loser, on the losing side, if anything, going against the directive or the guidance of the government, which is the Conservative Party. Because, Michelle, how the Conservative Party won that vote was by the help of the Labour Party, the opposition. Over 100 and so MPs within the Conservative voted against that. And what he said was this: I have to make it clear that there are persons out there who are concerned and they have their views. And I want them to know that not all of us is not acknowledging their concerns. So what he was saying is that Parliament is the voice of the people. And when the reporter was saying, don't you think the Prime Minister has lost his mojo or something like that, in the sense that these guys are actually going against him, I said, no, that is what politics is about. Politics is about politicians actually representing their people. So those 100 or so MPs, what they did was representing some of the voices of the people. Keisha, can you hear me?
Exactly.
Keisha, can you hear us? Okay, there's something with your audio. Well, you can do lip sync.
That would be sign language, no?
Sign language. Yeah. You got your fan club is here. Welcome, Tisha, in the house, yellow. Keep talking, David, and while I liaise with Keisha here.
I completely
hello,
agree with you. This is
oh, there it is.
Yes, we can hear you. You're here.
I think the headphone wasn't. That's cool. Say something. Speak. Keisha, you were okay a while ago.
She's not hearing us.
Not hearing us now. Okay.
No.
Okay.
So what I was going to say.
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you.
No headphones then.
Quite a big delay. That's the issue.
Yeah, you're saying, David.
Yeah. So essentially, what I was saying is that, you know, quite obviously, you know, the response to COVID it doesn't draw persuasion to party lines. It's not like COVID looks at the left and the right and says, you know what, I'm going to go this way, or I'm going to go this way in terms of, you know, the response to the pandemic, or even what people's response should be to the pandemic. It's not a blue or a red issue. I know we've kind of touched on that in the United States, but I don't think wholly the way that we go about things is completely blue or red. And so that's what this particular vote showed for me, that, you know, there are some factions within each side. And it shows you that, you know, not everybody is actually polarized to the left or right. There's still this middle ground that is still to be won, so to speak. And I think that's exactly what happened. That's what politics for me should be about. It should not be about being completely drawn to one side or the other. If a party is telling you is leaning to your interests as a person in a particular manner, you know, then you vote for that party. That's how it should be, for me. Okay, not for everybody, but for me, that's how I feel about politics. Now, quite obviously, politics is rooted in particular standards, particular thoughts or theories from a particular side. But when it comes to a matter like this, you can see that you can be swayed from either side. You can see that it's quite tricky waters to pass, because at any point in time there can be a upswing in the number of cases that occur, and somebody can be affected quite personally or close to you, and you think, actually, now my thought process is X, that's what I want to do. But you might be on the other persuasion where you see COVID and you think, actually, COVID has not affected me, it's not affecting my pursuit of life, it's not affecting any way that I go about things, and these things that are being put in place are affecting me, and I don't like it. So these things are not of a political ilk, and I think that this has really shone a light on that, because quite obviously in this scenario where Labour seemed to have helped out the Conservatives, I don't think it was helping, it was just a reflection of the communities that people live in and the effects that that COVID has had on those communities, and the representation of those party elected members within those particular areas to vote in the interest, largely for the people in those areas.
Exactly. And Keisha, can you hear us? Okay, fantastic. Let me just go back. End of day. Somebody said on Instagram, end of the day, we should thank God that we're in a position to have the options to get vaccinated. We still got a big divide with rich and poor countries. That's Carol said that there.
We're not we don't really have an option. They're putting you up against the wall, because that's how come right now I feel like you have a lot of mental issues that's going on now, because people have to be weighing now, am I going to have a job if I don't take this vaccine? Do you see how many murder suicide has been happening in the United States? A lot of murder suicide has been happening here, because you have people back is against the wall. You have the jobs that's telling you that you must get it done. You have been working on your job for 25, 30 years, and now you have to weigh that out if you're going to get the vaccine or if you're going to lose your job. So I think that they're not giving you a choice anymore.
Okay. Can I just ask Keisha to come in? Keisha?
Hello?
Oh, good. Go for it. Long time I haven't seen you. So many things have happened. You got you got your fans already saying welcome team Keisha Yellow in the house yellow. What is house yellow? I don't understand. What is house yellow? Can you explain that, Dan? But what's your take? I mean, are you still working from home, or you're back out there?
Yeah, it's great to be back. Hello, everyone. Yeah, I think we discussed this a while back, actually. You know, what's actually happening, the great divide between the rich and the poor, the issue between the vaccine and the unvaccinated. I think we pretty much say we predicted this on the show, that this was going to happen. So there's no surprise to us that, you know, we're where we are right now. I think for me personally, you know, my household, we've been shattered in a sense where it actually hit home. So even though I keep telling everyone staying indoors and that's what I'm going to do, it's, you know, because they're opening up they open up for everyone to actually, you know, go out again. At the time when we were actually, I was on the show, obviously my son went to school and people started interacting. And so, you know, unfortunately yeah, David, you're partly responsible.
Keep going.
Anyway,
Ho,
movies
ho,
review.
ho, ho, ho.
And so you know, in my household, you know, we actually, you know, my husband and my son actually got the, you know, the COVID, and it was quite interesting. It was a difficult time because I actually, you know, witnessed, you know, how even though we, you know, we all, well, my husband and I anyway, we're double jabs. So we've always promoted there, taking David advice, obviously, getting double jabbed and so on. So we actually did, but it was still you know, a horrible experience seeing my husband, especially being very poorly, and my son being completely sick for like 3 days. And it was quite interesting because I went through the 10 days, you know, isolation process, but you know, I never really experienced or actually had the COVID during that time anyway. So it is an shocking and horrifying experience. I remember feeling really sick and very weak and can't really do much for themselves. And so, yeah, I think it's definitely, if I wasn't promoting, had taken the vaccine before, I'm definitely promoting it now because I saved my family and I need saving lives out there. At the moment, I'm silent on the booster vaccine, although I got my notification the other day that I should do the booster because I think there's a lot of jobs we are doing at the moment. So I'm still waiting to hear further about this booster things actually happening at the moment. But yeah, the idea of actually staying indoors is what I'm saying. But I have, at the same time, I realize that this is what we're probably going to have to live with for a very, very long time to come.
Well, there's a voice of someone that says, they jabber, we jabs. Who said that? They jabber, we jab. That was the prime minister. They vacillate, we vaccine. I don't even saw that clip there with the prime minister. But Keisha, from the last time there, have you been going out though, enjoying the natural nature of life and in the park and smelling the birds and the bees and seeing the woodpecker? I mean, you know.
Yes, I have been integrating with my community, but as I said, there's a risk, unfortunately, about going out, leaving your household and going out. You actually expose yourself. So my son exposed himself to, you know, going back to school and coming home with the COVID. And next minute, my husband went to work, came around the same time, actually had COVID. Don't know which one who passed it on to what.
Wow.
This, you know, so it was. So the idea of, you know, is one thing to say, listen, it's, we all should stay indoors because that's easier because you're just standing that's the safety net. You know, we're all safe if we just stay indoors and shut down the country and everything. But the reality is, life needs to go on. So I'm actually taking, you know, can't you believe it, David? I'm actually agreeing with your point about life will go on and we have to find the balance of actually, you know, safeguarding ourselves, to wear the mask, get the vaccine and so on, but actually get out there and still, you know, as Sylvan said, you know, get the fresh air, go out and integrate. It just has to happen. But, you know, I don't know what's going to happen in the next few weeks. I'm hearing another lockdown coming and I pray to God that doesn't happen. But
I thought we were in a lockdown. Isn't this a lockdown we're in? I thought we were in a lockdown already.
Over to you,
David.
It's
not a lockdown we're in. No, it's not a lockdown, Sylvan. No, this is not a lockdown.
I guess because
I
guess because I'm permanently working from home, so nothing has really changed for me.
No, but the thing is, when you start,
keep the hat on, David. Somebody
like, if for me, someone like me who actually, like, I take Christmas important to me, and the reason why it's important is that's when I go and see my grandparents, my mom, everybody. Actually, it's a big household, big party, Christmas Day, and so on. So it's important for Boris and his you know, his friends, do not lock down Christmas, you know, or cancel Christmas at this time because it will be a big deal for me. So, but again,
Christmas is not being cancelled. Keisha, do not worry. Christmas is not being cancelled. We just have to find alternative ways to celebrate with the loved ones in our vicinity. It's not being cancelled. Don't absorb the cancel culture. The cancel culture is not here. We're not cancelling Christmas.
Yeah, you're right about that, David. It's not happening. Jump on that woke thing, innit?
Yeah. It's not happening. We're not cancelling Christmas. Christmas is still here, and you know, because you can't separate the idea of people wanting to share the space with friends and family. It can't happen. Now, what we have to be is sensible about the way that we approach Christmas. But family cannot be forgotten. Loneliness cannot be promoted in that respect. We have to make sure that people who are vulnerable in this period of time are cared for and looked after as well.
Yeah.
So no cancelling. So do not worry.
Yeah, but let's go back to the point that
That's good news.
Keisha flagged up about the double standard in Parliament and the parties which were kept, and it is coming out now that the Prime Minister wasn't just sitting at the table there. Apparently, he went into the party as well. But what about Sean Bailey? He was a scapegoat.
He's a gun. He's a gunman. Was he a scapegoat? There was always sacrificial lambs when it comes to politics. And this is the arena that people, unfortunately, who sign up for very good intentions. I think politicians do sign up to try and obviously help their community in the best way that they can, but they are really under the spotlight when things like this occur. So was he a scapegoat? I don't know. You could say that he was, but he obviously felt that the need to leave his position and post because of the events. And it was, I guess, an untenable position. We talked about these untenable positions before. Gavin Williamson, not Jeremy Hunt, but the previous Secretary for Safer Health. When you find yourself in a predicament,
my face, my base.
Exactly.
Michelle,
so when you find yourself,
sorry, I was going to break it down for Michelle.
When you find this, please break it down.
No, not breaking it down, Michelle. What has happened is that the Prime Minister was found to have a party last year, December, at the same time when the campaign was for people to shield and stay home and not even saying bye to their sick families or whatever like that. People were dying. And the Prime Minister had a party, number 10 had a party. Sean Bailey ran for the mayorship of London. He had a party as well. It's funny, when I looked at the picture with Sean Bailey, he was only the black guy there, you know what I mean? I was looking at it, he stood up very, there's a black don't crap, but black still shine. And I was saying that like he was the only guy there. But I look at it.
Again,
sorry, David.
Yeah, again, what I was saying, sorry, is that Matt Hancock, Gavin Williamson, people fall by the wayside when their time is up politically, and I think that's what's happened to him. I don't think it's more than that. And in terms of press secretary, she had to resign as well.
Yes.
The people have fallen down on the wayside, but the person that's still king of the crop is still there. I talk about our Prime Minister.
Yes.
I have no vested interest in seeing him resign or otherwise, but obviously he's still at the helm. Given what's happened, people may question that.
Keisha, do you see Prime Minister Boris Johnson lasting next year? All of next year?
Absolutely not. I think it's
Really?
No, I think it's only a matter of time, and the writing is on the wall. I think he hasn't, and we could go back from the time this show started. His record has demonstrated that he hasn't handled the COVID crisis very, very well. I think the only thing that he, as far in my mind, is actually rolling out the vaccine and was way ahead of the game in comparison to other countries. Other than that, unfortunately, he's failed on so many different levels. When it comes to the party that he secretly or his colleagues secretly had in number 10, I think that was, very much a significant matter. I know some people trivialize it, but for me, it's a very significant matter because it was a time during the lockdown where people could not go to see their families.
That's true.
Right? There are people dying in the hospital. I know, and I've literally heard of someone who was trying to get into an ambulance with the mom dying, and they were told that they cannot go with their mom, into the ambulance. And the mom went to the hospital. Days later, the mom passed. Never gotten the chance to say farewell goodbye to the mom, right? Because of the pandemic. And this at the same time when this mom passed away. It was the same time they're actually having a party, and they're telling the whole country that they're locking down the country. This is very serious. As far as I'm concerned, I don't really see why Boris is at the helm still. And I think in good conscience, he really should actually step down. Frankly, I think I think the nation is actually tired of Boris Johnson and his performance at the moment. But I believe, the Conservative is the one that went to actually, when is the time for the changing of the guards. And I think it's only a matter of time before they'll, the Conservative Party will do that on behalf of the nation. So I do think the writing on the wall, I don't see him lasting next year. Absolutely not.
I see. Can you guys see the screen?
Yes.
And
Nope.
you can't see the screen, no?
What screen?
Can
was
you
a screen,
see?
but I think you changed it again.
There was.
Okay.
It's gone now. Yeah.
Yeah. What's your take on? Let's move on to Lewis Hamilton. Arise, Sir Lewis Hamilton.
Listen, Lewis has had a tough week, tough
Yes.
break. Obviously, things didn't go his way when it came to the on-track racing. Michelle, are you into motor racing? Do you know what happened
No.
with Lewis Hamilton? I don't know if it's broke yet, right? So this is Lewis Hamilton is a motor racing driver here in the UK. He's going for he's the most successful British motor racing champion. I don't know if you've got a picture there, Silvan, you could put up.
Yeah.
But he lost in
Oh, he has put it up.
really, really strange fashion this weekend, and really should have won the race, but it was down to technicality, we should say, with regards to the stewardship of the race itself that really set him up to fail. And his car was quicker, he was better, he should have won, and that would have won him a record-breaking title. So he lost. And he's been a champion for a lot of things in regards to human rights, in regards to Black Lives, etc., etc. He's championing a lot of things. So he's had a tough week, but in essence, the flip is that he has just been knighted. And I guess the question Silvan is asking, or may well not be asking, is what the fallout of that is. So I think he's had a tough week, and I'm grateful that he's able to get the opportunity to be knighted. It's his choice. He's chosen to take the knighthood, and I think for people out there to see his achievements, not just on the stage of motor racing, not just on the stage of being a proponent for human rights, but also on the stage of receiving a knighthood. Some people will look at that potentially and say, why would he take it? And some people will look at it and say, wow, I want to get a knighthood. I want to be knighted by the prince. I want to be knighted by the queen. So
what's the knighted? I don't know what the knighted. What's so important about you being knighted?
You're part of the empire. You're part of the empire, the queen, and you're part of the legacy of Britain. Sorry, I'm being facetious. You guys know I'm running a joke.
Yeah. I mean, I'm eagerly waiting Keisha's input, but my feeling on the matter is that it's a choice. And again, we talked about choice earlier, all right? So you can see I'm the person that sits somewhat in the middle ground here. I'm the person that says, not just because I feel that's a place to sit, I just think people are given the choice of whatever it is that they want. And he's got a choice here to say, okay, when I want to be part of this this process, which is recognizing achievements, or at least in recent years has been about recognizing achievements. There are honours lists that occur every year where people are selected for their community service. And as part of that recognition, the establishment, that is the monarchy, recognise that, and you will obviously be rewarded with, and this is for the sake of yourself across in the United States, with awards. So there's membership of the British Empire. There is you can be a dame, you can be a sir, you can be a knight. It's an accumulation or accumulation of like an acceleration of this ladder of achievement and rewarding that achievement by the monarchy, essentially. Now, you either believe in the monarchy or you don't. So we've had discussions on this platform about the way that Barbados recently has decided to give up that kind
Keisha,
of...
remember
that? If it's like a national hero thing.
Barbados gave up their thing.
Exactly.
David was one who went to Barbados, and
yeah, so that's wholly.
It's like a national hero thing that is.
Yeah, exactly. But by the monarchy. So no, it's not just but you can have awards for anything. So in this country, we have a sports personality award where people are voted for in regards to their achievement in sport. There are multiple award ceremonies that occur across the globe. This is an achievement celebrated by the establishment, by the monarchy in regards to how they feel and judge the success of an individual. And it doesn't have to be a sports individual, by the way. There are people that get these awards across all walks of life. People who dedicate their life to voluntary work in the community, to people who have worked diligently in the art of social service, and their peers put them forward for these particular awards, and they win them. Now, the issue potentially here to generate and stimulate the discussion is, should people be rewarded by the monarchy given what it stands for? And I guess the floor is over to you.
Yeah. So Michelle, what it is, what the dissenting voice is that lots of persons, activists, is saying it's a bit of a fallacy for persons, black persons, to be taking up these roles or accepting. A few persons have not accepted it. This empire, MBE, member of the British Empire, and all those sort of things, OBE. When the word empire, what is empire, is around atrocities, slavery, and all those sort of things. The Pan-Africanist is against these sort of things. So that's the other side. But with Queen Elizabeth and the royal family now, it is trying to use it as a way, as David said, to recognize persons for their achievement. I believe eventually, after time, and of course, no disrespect, the Queen is not that well, I must say. I think after Queen Elizabeth passed on, there's going to be changes, rippling changes, maybe in the monarchy as well. So that's the thing, really. But in a way, as David rightly said and aptly put, it is an opportunity to recognize persons for their achievement. And eventually, when that change, it will be something else. So that's it. Michelle, you want to say anything about that?
No, I don't have anything to say about that. That's your world. That's your world over
there. And Keisha,
that's your world over there.
I'm very much happy for Sir Lewis Hamilton to be knighted. I'm very happy that he's been knighted. I know there's controversy behind taking the knighthood, and there's discussion over the years around that. But as far as I'm concerned, what makes us British people is that because we have now integrated to England, United Kingdom, we're part of the UK as Black people, and that's funny, Sylvan. And because of that, I believe there needs to be some type of recognition for Black people, when we achieve and when we contribute to this society. And this is a form of recognition. When we see a Black person be knighted now, even though, they may say that's actually the remnant of colonization or the British Empire and all that, what I now see it as an appreciation of what Black people are doing in this country, the achievements of Black people in this country. And I think that is why I applaud Lewis Hamilton now, sir, for actually taking or accepting this knighthood, because it means that many other young people, Black and minorities, would actually see as something more positive rather than a negative reflection of the past. So I think it's it's a different way of looking at it rather than the negative part of it. So
do you know what Bernie Ecclestone said? Do you know what Bernie Ecclestone said before we leave? Bernie Ecclestone said,
if it's something positive, then I'm happy to listen.
Bernie Ecclestone said that it is good that someone else won, because we have been having the same person all this time. And it's there on record somewhere. Me to say Lewis Hamilton is always winning. So it's glad that there's another face in that, what he says.
But that's a shame.
It's a shame, But guys, listen, it's a Christmas time now, and we go. And I want to just thank you guys for this year, because this is going to be the last show for the year. One of the reasons why I wanted Keisha to come on is because Keisha and Kima has been around for a while on the show, and David, Anthony, and all the different teams, just to say thank you so much for for this year, and we're going for next year for another round as well, because we're still going to be lockdown in the place to be. You know.
You see what could come out of lockdown?
Huh?
What can come out of lockdown, isn't it? Because this probably would never have happened if we didn't have a lockdown. You know?
Yeah, and I think the whole thing with the lockdown again is that I'm able to now see. I don't know, Michelle, maybe you're watching me that morning when I was able to see the woodpecker actually. I don't know if you guys ever seen a woodpecker actually in person. David, you ever seen a woodpecker in person?
I've seen, yeah. Not on your feed, but I've seen one.
Yeah, that was awesome as well, you know. So any last word, guys, before we wrap up?
Last word for me is this year's been tough. It's had its ups and downs, but much like any year, you know, that's life, unfortunately. Or fortunately, because it means we're living and breathing and seeing. So, you know, celebrate life, have plans for the future. Things will get better. And when it doesn't, and when things do hit you hard, find ways to sort of navigate that. And, you know, you'll feel better for it. Try not to ruminate on the negatives, focus on the positives. That's my advice for life.
Yes,
exactly.
Yes. And Michelle?
Well, I'm looking forward to 2022, and I'm just thinking positive. That's it.
Awesome. And mommy, again, you didn't want to say that?
This too shall pass.
Any last word, Keisha?
Yeah, I just wanted to say two things. Thanks everybody for watching the Stillborn show and for supporting Stillborn and us during this, this lockdown season, the whole year. It's been a great experience. Being part of the show, meeting and encountering different people. I would have never thought that actually I'll be able to actually be so and communicate with people. So it actually is a boost for me. So I really appreciate that. And also what I want to say, because one of the things I've learned this year as well is, just appreciate your family, hug your spend quality time with your family. A lot of time we get busy working and forgetting, about people around us. But this is a time to reflect on how important our loved ones are to us, and if you can hug them every day, let's do that. So thank you. Great.
You're very right about that when it comes on to loved ones, because as I know in the care proceeding, which I do, so many different cases, and for persons as families to be able to spend that time together during this lockdown, it's a challenge, but it's worth it because you actually get very closer to each other and get to know your family so much more. I mean, for me, it has been wonderful. Able to see the children go to school and come back. It's a bit strange, the children going out and them coming back and you still here. Normally, daddy gone out to work, but
sure.
My son coming in late. And I'm still inside. So it's great, and you get to know your family well. And as I say, wife and husband, to be in the same house for so long, many people don't know each other, and they get on and they fight one another because it's too much. There's that crazy case where that guy just killed his ex-girlfriend and killed his wife and ex-wife. Just mental health.
Silborn, this is Christmas, man. This is Christmas. Man. Celebrate positivity.
He just went off track.
Come on, man.
And thank you, Silborn, for including me as well.
Yeah. Thanks. And where's the drink? Where's the drink?
This is not the talk and sip show.
Oh, that's
right. Oh, you're having hot chocolate, David? Oh, water.
No, I'm having water. Right? It's all the talking. Okay. I need to make sure I'm well hydrated. I hope all of you guys will stay well hydrated. Yeah. And yes, Merry Christmas, Feliz Navidad, Happy Hanukkah. Have a great one.
Happy holidays, you
Merry
guys.
Christmas, everyone.
See you later, guys.
Okay. Bye-bye.
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 Thank you very much. Cheers. Bye-bye. Thanks. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining. And as we say, we wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And 2022 may it be a great, a blessed, and a wonderful year for you and everybody. Those on Instagram, those on Facebook as well. We look forward to see you. Vita, big up, Original Orchid Lady. Peace out. God bless you, and have a good night.